Graveborn and Spellshot are quickly becoming the strongest classes in Wonderlands. When you put them together, you have a force of nature that is absolutely unstoppable. Now, do know this requires multi-classing, and this build that I'm going to show you is a level 40 CT20 Chaos Tier 20. If you have any spoilers you want to avoid, probably need to avoid them now, but this save is absolutely insane. I'll have this over on my Discord for you guys to snag yourself if you want. And do know that you can follow me over on YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch at Byrdman778 and use code BIRD at GFIL checkout to help support me. Do know this is an absolute busted build. One of my homies, Chadley99, has a very similar build. I think his is definitely way more into a higher number one-shotting enemies, while mine is definitely more companion focused, just chucking as many Hydras as I can and just abusing their damage. So make sure you go and check out Chadley. He's a wonderful person. We love him. He's my homie, my little nut boy. But guys, this setup is absolutely insane. Can't wait to show you. Now let's hop right onto the skill tree to show it off. So when talking about this build, we obviously have to look at the different pieces of gear. First off, when it comes to our weapons, I definitely recommend running these Furior SMGs, purely off the fact that it reads when weapon explodes on impact and morphs into a Hydra companion, shooting enemies for a duration. What's so great about that is some versions of it will be a multi-headed Hydra, so it does a little bit more damage. Now, I had this single-headed one here on the corrosive or poison variant of it. It still does a plenty amount of damage, but I definitely have been running the most with this fire version just because fire tends to be one of the most important elements in the game right now. I would say, but again, that's just going to be probably your bread and butter. I do have this shotgun that reads thrown weapon becomes a gun with wings. That does not count for companion damage. It only counts for gun damage, but a lot of the stuff that we have in our skill tree on the spell shot side will help benefit this. If you want, you can change out one of these arc torrents, specifically the right one, for the Buffmeister, and then essentially just run around and nuke people with this shotgun as well. But for the sake of this build, I only run the double arc torrent just because it does plenty of damage and it incentivizes us to use the companion damage from our Hydras the most. On our melee weapon, I like to use the Snake Stick of the Crusher. The reason why we like this is because it reads Snake Stick, melee attacks spawn a nearby Hydra companion that deals melee damage for 6 seconds. That's absolutely insane, just because the fact that these Hydras are instead shooting melee damage is just really nice. It's really great for those times you're going through Chaos Chamber. Maybe you have Rend and Render, the one where it essentially makes them blue, and then if you melee them, they die. Essentially, if you get plenty of those Hydras around, they can shoot and just insta-kill enemies with it, and that's really cool. But also the fact that this one also comes with Vampire, so melee attacks restore some of my health and ward. So again, having those Hydras just refill your health while also just creating them in general is really cool. When it comes to the rings that we're going to be using, you definitely want to be going into things like companion damage, spell critical. Those are going to be your best options. Spell damage as well on the top part of the category. It's very hard to find everything that's just going to work for every single build, but at least know for this, I'm able to nuke. If you min-max a little harder, go through the Chaos Chambers, find the specific rings that work better for you. I definitely recommend doing that, but know what I have here for you will work out really well. The shield for this is pretty important in my opinion. The Jolting Curse wit, you're able to get this from Ribula. It's the first boss you actually encounter in the game. What's so great about this is that it reads while ward is depleted, so that means it's completely gone. Gain 17% damage reduction and gain 100% increased damage dealt to nearby enemies. And then while it's full, shot strain 30%, ward plus 20% gun damage. Now, what's great about all this is the fact that we essentially are trying to keep our shield like broken at all costs. We have some stuff in our skill tree that'll help benefit that, but at least know whenever it gets refilled for whatever reason, you're able to essentially get rid of it pretty fast with that shot draining 30% of the ward, doing extra damage. But while it's depleted, you definitely want this just because, again, the Graveborn's able to keep up its health pretty well. Pretty consistently, I would say, and this will be able to give you just plenty of extra damage. I mean, 100% extra damage. It's just gonna be one of the best parts about just nuking enemies with your double arc torrent or having your Hydras do more damage, because they will take that extra 100% damage as well, just because, again, they read the same thing damage-wise as you do. On it as well, I also have the Enchanted on spellcast, increase lightning damage by 30% for 5 seconds. We are constantly activating our arc torrent, so you're going to be able to keep up that 30% extra lightning damage all the time. Again, that's obviously going to benefit the arc torrents really well. When it comes to our class item, definitely want to focus into Spellshot the most. Spellshot power is very important in this entire setup. Getting that extra point of high thread count that you see in the middle there is very important. Now, it's pretty hard to roll a Spellshot Graveborn with this on it. I haven't found one yet. If someone else finds it, please let me know and send it on over. I want to test it out, see how it goes. But on the passes, we have spell critical chance. It's huge. Spell damage is huge. And then on that very bottom perk, definitely try to find something that boosts your ability damage and your spell damage if you can. Right now, I just have the extra dark magic efficiency. It helps out just keeping me alive right now, but I would definitely want more ability damage. On my amulet, I really like this one just because I have the spell shot extra power. We'll explain why the spell shot power is so important, but the extra dark magic damage is great just for keeping me alive. All damage dealt added to it is really nice, but the bottom part, the Fatemaker critical hits increase companion critical hit chance by 80% for 6 seconds, and then companion critical hits increase the Fatemaker's critical hit damage by 30% for 6 seconds. This is just great because it's just synergy all around. I'm helping my Hydras are helping me. It just kind of makes that whole entire, just like, I don't know, companion part of the build, just pull it all together. Obviously, we've been talking about this double arc torrent. You need this. These ones specifically are going to be your best bet because they have the 4 charges on them. They're the channel cast, which is like the best damage variant of it, and also the fact that it's a lightning bolt that comes down, which if you charge it up all the way, can just nuke an entire field of enemies instantly. Again, we're doing 2 of them, so it's just going to be double that damage. I would say specifically, definitely make sure you use this one that reads increase ability damage. What is so great, one of the skills in our skill tree with Graveborn uses ability damage, so the fact that we're able to just activate our spells and be able to boost that ability damage will essentially help us get close to 1,000,000 plus damage per hit, which is just mind-boggling. Look at the skill trees for both of those. Obviously, we're going Graveborn and Spellshot. First off, for the class feats for each of those classes, we have the Demi-Lich companion for Graveborn, where it's going to be our little friend kind of flying around doing dark magic damage. Whenever we activate a spell, they're going to shoot a blast that does extra damage of our elemental type. So essentially, you'll just be seeing these like blue orbs flying around because there'll be extra shock damage hitting enemies. And then again, any increase the Fatemaker damage also applies to their companions. So that's going to be your Hydras, it's going to be your Demi-Lich. If for some reason you were to run like Spore Warden, it would count for them as well. Fun fact though, if you are running Clawbringer, the Wyvern does not count for the companion damage. There's something spaghetti about it. I have no idea, but you absolutely need to do that. First spell shot is the spell weaving, so casting a spell or reloading, so that's going to count for your chucks as well. Grants a Fatemaker a stack of spell weaving, increasing spell damage. Spell weaving stacks automatically decay after a few seconds, and casting and repeating a spell has a chance to award additional spell weaving stacks with each repeating cast. So again, we're constantly doing this already with our arc torrents. We're going to be keeping up that high spell damage per stack. We're going to have 11 right now because of our class mod that we already talked about. So that's just an obscene amount of damage to always have and work around with. It's crazy. And obviously, again, action and skill wise, we're running the Ambit Hextress from the spell shot tree, so we get that double spell. On the Graveborn side, you definitely need to go into Essence Drain. Faithful Thralls might be the most important skill in this entire tree. You have to make sure you max this out because we're getting extra damage per companion, which is just kind of insane. We can get up to like ×8 on average. I would say Hydra companions always around. We always have our Hydra companions that are going to come from our Dark Hydra and also our Demi-Lich as well. So you're keeping up pretty high damage all the time. It's so important for you to have that. And also make sure you go into Harvest so that your companions are getting some extra dark magic damage that's going to help heal you and keep you alive. Definitely do not go into Dark Pact or Stain the Soul. Reason why we're not doing that is because the extra elements for that will kind of muddle the arc torrents for some reason. There's some spaghetti in the code that does it. I don't know what it is, but at least avoid this. Know that you're still getting plenty of dark magic efficiency just from your companions mainly and just from you being Graveborn. So don't really worry about that. But know at least just don't make sure you put any points into here. Sanguine Sacrament and Ascension are huge ones as well, just for keeping you alive and also getting you extra spell damage. You want to make sure you get the ×10 on this at all times on Ascension, just because that's extra spell damage that you're going to have all the time. I definitely think Punishment's an important one. Demi-Lich getting that extra chance to do a Hellish Blast. It's just a fun point just to put somewhere just to kind of start filling out the tree. But also, again, your companion is going to do more damage as long as you're doing damage. So having that extra chance for a shot can be really insane. In the tier 5 category, Lord of Edges, whenever we're getting low on health, we get damage reduction, extra damage dealt. We really like that. But we were talking about that ability in our tree that essentially did ability damage, and that's going to be Blast Gas. This is essentially such a stupid ability because using it, a spell on an enemy has a chance to create an elemental explosion, dealing ability damage of the spell's elemental type. So essentially, whenever we do an arc torrent on somebody, there's a chance there's an extra explosion that will do more ability damage. So that's where, like, maybe in your class mod or something, having something that does extra ability damage would be really nice just because it'll help jack that up. Remember, on one of our arc torrents, we have that extra ability damage for by 30% for 5 seconds. This is going to help with it. Again, you're going to be nuking enemies by having this. So this is an absolute must to go ×5 in. We're definitely going to go into Moreheim's Blessing. After casting a spell, automatically activate all your kill skills. So that's going to be things like your Dark Hydra, like your Harvest. You absolutely need to have that Ascension as well. So again, make sure you're going into that. And obviously, kind of filling out with our Spellshot tree, you want to go into Spell Sniper for the extra chance. Magic Bullets to do a little bit more damage with your weapons. Font of Mana, I like that for the extra spell cooldown. Just warming up, just kind of get down the tree more than anything. It shows we got 3 points in here, and that's because of our class mod. You absolutely have to go into Glass Cannon. Fate Maker no longer automatically recharges their ward, but the game dramatically increased spell damage. Absolute must. You have to have this. You're pretty okay with not having a ward most of the time just because Graveborn has such good dark magic efficiency and healing by that, so it's an absolute must. You want your shield to also obviously be down to kind of help out the current shield that you have and getting that boost from it. And then finally, high thread count. This is a huge one. You need to find class mods that have at least a point in this just because it gives you extra spell weaving stacks. So we can go up to 11 spell weaving stacks. So that's 110% more spell damage, which is absolutely insane because of our spell weaving and how it interacts. If you have just 8 in it without having this point in it, it's still going to do really well for you. But if you're min-maxing yourself out the most, make sure you're getting as many points in a high threat count as humanly possible. When it comes into our hero stats, we have no power in Graveborn right now. Not super necessary just because we're not using any of the perks from it. But the Spellshot is gigantic for us just because we get plus 63% spell damage per spell stack that we have right now, which is just kind of insane. You're just going to be nuking everybody. That's just the best way to put it. You're going to be nuking everybody. Make sure you're getting as much percentage into this as humanly possible. And then when it comes down to your hero points, that kind of comes down to you. I went into extra crit chance and spell cooldown. You do not need to go into skill cooldown whatsoever just because you're not using any skills. You're just using spells. So essentially this is up to you. I just think spell cooldown and crit chance are big. I'm really proud of the setup of the fact that it doesn't require to use the Spell Zerking Buffmeister kind of exploit. That was actually found out by the wonderful content creator Depriesticles. Make sure you go and showing them some love. When we were doing the early access, they were the first one to find it. Everyone was just blown away. So make sure you show them Priest some love. They worked really hard and we were able to find this incredible interaction. But I didn't really want to use the Buffmeister with this selection just because, again, I feel like this is something that Gearbox is going to go fix here in the future. So I wanted to find something that really worked better. Companions from the get-go was something I was really interested in with Graveborn. So luckily we were able to find this interesting interaction. Then again, with help with people like Chadley99 who were like, hey, maybe try to use some of the arc torrents with this as well. We were able to kind of get this set up. His setup is definitely going to be posted on here soon, so make sure you're checking him out. And again, make sure you're checking out the Depriesticles as well. But guys, thank you so much for stopping by this video. Hope you really enjoyed it. We're going to be doing a lot of different builds, guides, everything on the channel here soon. Make sure you follow me over on Twitch as well because we're going to be doing Chaos Chamber runs with people in chat, getting you the gear that you need, the Chaos, Volatile, whatever you need. Swing on by. We'll do some runs together. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. But again, a lot of Berserker stuff coming up here soon, Graveborn stuff. Really want to try out some Stavomancer with some Spore Warden as well. I know I'm just kind of listing off every class here, but I'm just so interested in this game. I'm so excited. I'm glad Wonderlands is finally here. But guys, make sure you're following me on YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch at Byrdman778 using code BIRD at GFuel checkout. Guys, thank you so much. I hope you have a great night, day, or whatever it may be.